This week on the Movies and Stuff show, we talk about Twin Peaks casting, actual vetting at the Oscars, a Dredd 2 sequel, TV shows I should watch, and then we count down our top 10 favorite cult classic movies. Stay tuned. And welcome once again to the Movies and Stuff show. We are coming to you live from the suburbs of New Jersey and Missouri. My name is Dan, and joining me is a man who is still waiting for his casting call for Twin Peaks. Abe.
That's right. I've been practicing too. There's a fish in the percolator. See, I'm in.
I'm surprised that you haven't gotten the call. So many people have.
I know everybody.
Got the Duchovny, Laura Dern,
Yeah.
Michael Cera,
That pisses me off.
Ashley Judd, Ashley Judd,
Yeah.
Jennifer Jason Leigh,
Everybody.
Amanda Seyfried. She got a casting call. Naomi Watts, which I guess makes sense. Worked with Lynch before.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Eddie Vedder,
That's a weird one, isn't it?
Trent Reznor.
They're old pals from Lost Highway.
So they're all confirmed. But some people that have not been confirmed, which is kind of curious. Laura Flynn Boyle, Piper Laurie, and Michael Onkeen.
Yeah, he's not in it. He retired a while back, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'd still think maybe.
Right.
I don't know. For Lynch.
Yeah, what else has he got going on? No doubt.
It's a lot to absorb, though. What do you think about all this casting stuff? Is it a good sign? Is it interesting? Is it...
Now, there's no Heather Graham, right?
No.
I didn't see Heather Graham.
No, didn't see Heather Graham.
See, that really bums me out. I guess I'm excited, but also really nervous. You know, no Truman, no Roller Girl. It makes me a little worried. And I think the big question I still have is, does Lynch have it anymore? It's been a while. Does he remember which end of the camera to use? Inland Empire's 2006?
Jeez, it's been a while. Yeah.
10 years since he's
That's
actually...
10 years.
Yeah.
No, he's dabbled in short films, though.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
worked
made
on stuff. So, I mean,
commercials still, too.
I have complete faith that he...
Oh, you always have too much faith.
I'm the man of faith and you're the man of science. That's scary.
Oh, God. Yep. I guess so. But no, I'm a little worried. Like I said, I hope there's a real plan. I hope this isn't just a bunch of stunt casting. That's my only concern.
Yeah. And then you start to worry that this is a continuation, of course.
Right.
And if you're missing a lot of the people that were critical to the original show's success, how much of the original show is it actually going to be versus how much is just going to be tied to the original show? I mean, there's a difference there. There's a difference. You're trying to continue a story, and if you don't have these key people there to continue that story, it's not the same story.
That's what I mean with Heather Graham. Absolutely. I mean, Annie seemed pretty goddamn pivotal to the story.
Even though she hasn't been announced, I mean, Heather Graham really hasn't done much, so I'm sure she'll...
Yeah, I mean, she did a guest spot on Scrubs. I mean, how valuable is her time?
I mean, what? Someone tell me what Heather Graham's career has been like post Boogie Nights, because I'm really not sure. I can't think of much, which is sad because I mean, you think Boogie Nights should have made her a bigger star.
Yeah, should have saved Burt Reynolds' career too. But
Yeah, well, Burt did that to himself. I'm going to IMDb now. I'm going to open up my little IMDb app, and I need to see this. I'm just interested. I remember the Scrubs thing.
Yeah.
The Hangover. Okay, she was in The Hangover. Let's see. She was in 9 episodes of Californication. So hey, she's getting her Duchovny on.
There you go.
So maybe she's back. Maybe she's back.
Hey.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. Just nothing that looks. Nothing that looks good on this resume.
No. I think she's more miss than hit.
Yeah, this does not look good, like
No,
at all.
no,
Like
no.
post From Hell, she was in From Hell. She played Mary
I
Kelly in
still
From
need to
Hell.
see that.
Pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Liked it. She was in Austin Powers, but yeah, that was post Boogie Nights. Yep. Bowfinger was pretty good.
It's okay.
Yeah, it was all right. But I mean, honestly, she should have been much bigger post Boogie Nights, and
Should have been.
she wasn't.
No.
So, that said, I'm sure she'll end up in Twin Peaks. My guess. My
I
guess
hope
is-
so. I hope they can work that out.
Yeah.
Oh, poop.
What happened?
Oh, nothing. Little glitch. You remember the Skype issue I had earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Your Skype is just a smidge over your name panel, and that really bugged me. That's it. Nothing major. I'm just going to slide you down real quick. Pay no attention to this, boys. There we go.
Hey, if I wouldn't have, well, if you wouldn't have said "oh poop," and then I wouldn't have pointed it out, then all this could have just been like
Seamless.
seamless. But you're still not into the swing of things yet. Your vacation threw you off. We have to
Well,
like
this
get this whole like chemistry back together again. We miss 1 week, and then it's just like, well, now it's
Everything's-
the show's ruined.
It is. It is. It's falling apart. Maybe I should retire. My good days are behind me. I can look forward to a life like Heather Graham now.
Your vacation was post Boogie Nights, I guess.
There you go. There you go.
Heather Graham ever get nominated for an Academy Award that you can?
I don't know.
And I don't think she ever will be. uh, did you see this though about the Academy Awards? The Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences has decided to actually vet its members by qualifying them if they are active or not. So basically, they're going to have this review of these actors and actresses' resumes, or they have to fill out this online form. I shit you not, they have to go and fill out this online form of what they've been involved in to make sure that they are active. And this is going to impact whether someone can vote for the Academy Awards. Now, in principle, sounds like a good idea, but I think of something like Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson's retired from acting.
Right.
You're going to strip his vote? If I don't know if he gets a vote. I'm assuming that he gets a vote. But you're going to strip Jack Nicholson's vote?
No, of course not.
No, of course you're not.
No.
So, I mean, this, I don't know. Publicity stunt? Do you think it's a step in the right direction? What do you think?
It's still damage control, right?
It's
This
gotta
is still damage control from last year. They're still trying to they're trying to purge as many as many older white people as they possibly can. I imagine it is going to be harder to fill out this online Oscar form than it is to vote in Florida in 2000.
It's going to be a lot of hanging chads here, but
Oh, absolutely. They're like, he didn't answer question 3. Throw him out. He's out of the academy. No, it's still damage control.
oh, wait a minute. It's like, he did fill in that he's old and white, so
Right.
he's out.
He's out. But you're right. It's still at its core a high school. Hollywood's still a high school.
it's-
Jack Nicholson is perpetually at the cool table. He's never going to not be at the cool table, so he's always going to get a vote.
Well, he's getting up there in years.
Yeah,
So
right.
soon,
Yeah.
soon it might be robot Jack Nicholson, cryogenically frozen Jack Nicholson doing his voting
Might be.
from the grave.
It's still damage control. I mean,
Zombie Jack. See, I'd watch that. I gave up on The Walking Dead, but I'd watch Zombie Jack Nicholson.
is he still dating Laura Flynn Boyle, or are they done?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't either.
Maybe that's why she's not doing Twin Peaks.
Yeah. Maybe
She's too
so.
busy with Jack.
Yeah.
Well, who was she with? Was she with Harrison Ford for a while? Laura Flynn Boyle?
I think so.
No, that was Calista Flockhart. That was Calista
Oh,
Flockhart.
you're
The
right,
other
yeah.
skinny.
Yeah, the other anorexic one.
Yeah. Just kidding.
No, Laura Flynn Boyle was she was dating Kyle MacLachlan at the time, editor of Twin Peaks, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she wasn't happy that Audrey was getting all the love scenes with him. So she made that was the whole stink about season 3.
Ridiculous.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yes.
Academy Awards.
Right. And they're handling these are the same people that are trying to solve race problems. These idiots. Yeah.
It's terrible. I mean, to me, it's a total kind of like PR stunt. I don't know what this is going to accomplish at all. Like to me, it doesn't matter if you're an active member of the academy or not. Uh, the issue I mean, the issues with the academy, the issues with the Academy Awards. One, people aren't able to see all the movies. It's simple as that.
Okay.
So you're basically limiting this awards show to a certain group of movies that can be seen. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that a lot of these movies can't be seen.
Right.
A lot of people just aren't seeing them.
Some of them are busy making films.
That's the point. I mean,
Yeah.
if when are you going to sit down and watch 30 screeners when you're making films yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, I've personally talked to a lot of actors and interviewed actors, and I even asked them, "Have you ever watched your own movies?" And they're like, "I don't have time to watch my own stuff.
Right.
I don't have time to watch TV. I don't, I don't even own a TV." Like, I remember talking to Tom Noonan, and that was, he was in a hotel room,
Yep.
and he turned on the TV, and he's like, "Oh, I remember working with so and so. Oh, I worked with so and so," and then he shows up on the TV, and that was a movie that he was in, and he
Crazy.
totally forgot about being in this movie. So I mean, that's how busy these people are. So they're not going to sit down and watch these screeners. And then the whole concept of screeners, which we've mentioned before, who affords all these screeners? Who can afford to send out all these? So
Right.
you're basically saying these are the best pictures of this select group of films that can be eligible for Best Picture because they have the resources to it and enough people have seen it.
Yeah.
It's such bullshit in
Oh,
regards to having an award for a Best Picture or Best Actor, because there's tons of performances that I don't see until years later. And I'm like, oh my God, that was a hell of a movie, or oh my God, that was a hell of a performance. And you look at the year that came out and you see what won Best Picture, and it's like, really? But it's a movie that no one probably saw.
Yeah.
No, and that's the issue, people. That's the issue with the Academy Awards. And
One
the
of
other,
many. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the other issues, it's a high school. It's exactly what you said. It's a popularity contest. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And apparently, it's a high school that takes place in the 50s because they still hate black people.
Not as much as they hate Asians.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should move on now.
All right. I have no good segue to this, so let's just talk about Dredd 2.
To Dredd.
To Dredd. To La Dredd to Dredd.
Yes.
Yes. No, there actually is no Dredd 2 sequel.
No.
But Carl Urban, he's Star Trek, right?
He's McCoy in Star Trek. Yep.
So Carl Urban has recently taken to Twitter because, I mean, I guess he's not busy enough making movies, so he can hang out on Twitter. But he has taken to Twitter. I like Carl Urban.
Yeah.
And I really do. I like him. And I like Dredd 1. But he's taking to Twitter to state that he really wants to make another Dredd movie. And I think the first one was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a really fun movie, and it's got, we're talking about cult classic films here today.
Yeah.
I think this is one of them.
Could be.
It's not going to make my list, but spoiler alert. But this has a really good cult following. I really love it. It did poor at the box office, so that's what's killing any chance at a sequel, apparently. But do you think in the next 5 years we get a Dredd sequel with Carl Urban in it?
Well, maybe. Wasn't he pushing for a Netflix series, like in the Daredevil mode? Wasn't that what he wanted?
Well, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, but no, we won't. I was there. I mean, I remember 2 years ago when it was the Dredd Day, and everybody had to watch Dredd on Amazon or Netflix or whatever, and maybe buy the disc if you could. That didn't do it. Mm-mm. No, it's just not. It's not going to happen.
It's a shame. It's a shame. It was really good.
It was really good. It's one of the only Blu-rays I own.
It surprised the hell out of me of how much I enjoyed it, because I mean, you still had that bad kind of taste in your mouth from the Stallone Dredd. That was the image of Dredd. I never read the comic. Did you ever?
No.
I know. Yeah. So I never read the comic, so I didn't know the character other than Stallone.
I am the Law. And he wasn't even the worst part about that movie.
He wasn't. It was.
Rob Schneider was the worst part about that movie.
Here's the thing: it's not a terrible movie.
No, it really isn't.
I don't think the original. I think the original Dredd gets a lot more shit than Judge Dredd. I think it gets a lot more shit than it actually should.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good, but it's not like the worst. It's not the worst thing Stallone's ever done.
No
that's
shit.
for sure.
It's probably not in the top 5.
But yeah, it has a lot of badness to it. So I'm not going to defend it, but it's not terrible. It's not unwatchable.
No.
I think if it came on, like I could watch like 10, 15 minutes of it.
Oh God. Yeah, but no, there won't be one in 5 years, 6 years.
All right. Fourth topic. Why not? Speaking of stuff that I do watch, I've kind of been doing a tour of shows from a decade ago. I watched Spartacus, Carnival, Deadwood, and I just finished up Rome.
Oh.
Yep. So we've done an episode on Carnival.
Yes, we have.
And I know you have not watched Spartacus, but
No.
you have watched the others.
Yes.
So, to anyone who hasn't seen Carnival, Deadwood, or Rome, those three, which is the one that you most recommend? Or put them in order. Put them in order.
Carnival, Rome, and Deadwood?
Yeah, I'd probably go the same way.
No, I'm trying to think. Carnival. Yeah, no, that's exactly how I'd put it. Carnival, Rome, and Deadwood. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd go the same way.
If Deadwood hadn't petered out in the end, that last season, it might be on top. But it did peter out.
The thing that impressed me about Rome is they knew it was going to be canceled.
Yeah, they did. They put the foot on the accelerator.
And but they had a plan. And even though that second season was so accelerated, yeah. I mean, ridiculous, to the point where it's like, we're going off to war. And then it's like, Mark Antony and rowing back after being defeated. We lost.
Yeah.
It's just like, it was so accelerated. But at least they had a plan. And they executed the plan as best as they could in the truncated timeline that they had.
Yeah.
Whereas Deadwood knew that it was being canceled and kind of decided to take its damn time.
No shit. And this always pisses me off about TV shows. Always pisses me off about TV shows. Like, they always act like the end catches them off guard. I mean, Lost, Battlestar Galactica, looking at you. I mean, I guess Rome had an advantage in that they, the story was already written for them.
But, I mean, they could have gone in so many different directions in Rome as well. I mean, they touched upon, they started to touch upon, and I think if the series went longer, it might have touched upon Jesus Christ. It might have started to creep into his timeline a little bit, I think, and because they started to, they started to have that branching off to it, but they just couldn't. But, the stuff with Cleopatra, the stuff that stuff was good, but it was just over in a blink of an eye. It's like, oh yeah, well, that was cool, but but Carnival, I think, knew that it was being canceled and still stuck the landing. I agree with you. I go Carnival, Rome, then Deadwood. We'll see if a Deadwood movie is going to be made and if that does anything to enhance the series. I have not watched The Wire, so I think that is still top of my list. It's one of the shows I want to watch with my wife. These other ones I've just been kind of watching on my own as I find time, fitting them in. So The Wire is something I feel like me and my wife would enjoy. So I'm saving that one.
It's phenomenal. It really is. It really is so good.
Other than that, any other shows, HBO or Stars or any of those like old, from a decade or so ago that I missed out on?
I can't think of anything. I am going to tell you to avoid some pitfalls here, though.
Okay.
Avoid the fuck out of 6 Feet Under. Jesus Christ, what a painful experience that show is.
I kind of felt that way. Yep.
That show was like, I can't believe that show was as lauded as anything but an average soap opera with some of the most horrifically painful characters to spend time with. I mean, it absolutely boggles my mind. And The Wire's great. Skip Treme. Skip the New Orleans one. You know that scene where Costanza's saying to the NBC execs, "What'd you do today?" Describing a show. Well, I got up, I had breakfast, I went to work. That's Treme. That is Treme. They decided, well, we really intricately plotted The Wire. Yeah, we don't need a plot for this one.
Wow.
So just skip those two. I think it'll be okay.
A couple others to throw this. Luck. Did you watch Luck?
Never saw.
It was one season, right?
Oh, I got a problem. I got a kind of a moral conundrum about that one.
Oh yeah.
Those horses died. Like 3 horses died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's where you draw the line. Horses died.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, how many animals are you going to kill to make your stupid TV show?
Especially because he's a degenerate gambler. And the show was about horse racing. John from Cincinnati, another one. Did you watch John from Cincinnati?
I watched the first episode, and I kept meaning to go back and maybe finish it, but there's other things coming up. Ronan wants to know about Curb.
I love Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, you're a big Curb fan. Yeah.
I am. Yeah, it's one of those that I don't think I've watched every single episode. So when one comes on that I haven't seen, I do appreciate it. But I've watched enough of the series to say that I'm a fan of the series. You know, like I didn't have HBO for many years, so a lot of it was me catching up on it. I have the DVDs, so I was watching the DVDs, and when I got HBO, it just started burning through episodes. So
I got you.
I don't think I've watched every single episode, but I've watched enough volume of the series. I do. I love it, and I'm a huge Larry David fan. Probably like a year or so ago, went to go see his Broadway play, Fish in the Dark.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that you went to go see that. Yeah,
he's great. It was like a play version of a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. It's really fantastic. Who eats fish in the dark? Yeah, pretty spectacular.
Oh, the animal cruelty. Yeah, they're kind of bummed about that. And if we're going to keep an inside joke here, Tom said, after the animal cruelty, that's why Talkbacker closed down too. Yeah. That's a good joke.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Very inside though.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So avoid Treme and avoid 6 Feet Under.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, the world's my oyster. But I should do The Wire for sure. And a lot of people tell me The Shield.
I never did see that.
A lot of people tell me The Shield.
I am so behind on all those FX shows. It's not even funny. I've never seen Justified.
Sons. Oh, Justified. Justified might be there. Justified might be one that I want to watch. My Deadwood connection too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Playing a modern version of the same character that he played on Deadwood.
Our girl Sherry Rose was in one episode.
She was. I remember when you were scouring for footage of her with her clothes on. Yeah.
Well, I was looking for both. Come on.
One for the show and one for research. All right.
Yes.
You know what? We have a great show lined up this week. We're going to be talking about our top 10 favorite cult classic films. Subscribe to this show. Subscribe to our channel. A lot of great content, so click that button below. I love that.
You said you wanted a big button. Yeah, there it is.
I did, and you finally listened to me.
Yeah.
Bigger. I want it over my face. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, some culty awesomeness. Hey, we're back. See, it worked this time.
Yep.
I'm gonna continue my break. Do you want to talk for a minute? I'm gonna take a little sip.
Let's see. I've got your outline. You're gonna say, "Welcome back to Movies and Stuff Show." We are talking our top 10 cult classic movies. This was a tough one for me.
All right.
Okay.
So no, I'll chime in here. This one was a tough one for me.
There you go. Yeah.
I left off Evil Dead. I left off Army of Darkness. See, that wasn't in my original script, was it?
You left off Army of Darkness. I have to read your scripts now?
No, you don't have to.
Jesus Christ.
But I left off Evil Dead. I left off Army of Darkness. Repo Man, Big Trouble in Little China didn't make my list. Office Space didn't make my list. Spinal Tap, Wet Hot American Summer. You talk to me in a week, and you'll probably get an alternate list with some of those included. I don't know. I chose 5. You chose 5. You already have the graphics set for these 10. So we're going to stick with these 10. I'm going to start with my number 5, which is...
It's a little delay right here. Here we go. It's coming. There we go.
Hey, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. You've seen this one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Peck and Paw, baby. Peck and Paw.
Man, it's so badass. Dark, twisted, Peck and Paw. It follows a road trip of this dude named Benny, played awesomely by Warren Oates. and his co-pilot on this trip, the severed head of Alfredo Garcia, and they actually have a very good friendship together, where Benny talks to the head and asks for advice. Um, I mean, it's this is a violent masterpiece right here. It is the definition of cult films, in my opinion. And maybe as we're talking, we should kind of define what cult films are. But you know, this film failed at the box office, but over the years grew this, you know, dedicated following of people that just loved this movie and recognized it for the great film that it was. And I feel that some elements of being a cult film typically are doesn't really succeed at the box office. It has, you know, this dedicated group of people that support the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, cult films have a lot of like lines that you remember from it, or scenes that just kind of stand out, like these insane things that most normal movies wouldn't have. And as we go through our list, I'm sure we'll have some of those examples. But to me, that's kind of the definition of cult film, you know. And Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia definitely fits a lot of those check marks right there.
Oh, I agree. It's a classic film. It's such an odd it's such an odd film. I don't know how else to say it. Like, you're
Even
right.
for Peckinpah.
Yeah.
Even for Peckinpah. Like, it stands out of his filmography as, in my opinion, the most cult classic of the bunch. I mean, Peckinpah is probably a cult film director, you'd probably say. He's one of those guys that, you know, you talk about him in reverence at this point in time, but I'm sure a lot of reviewers at the time is like, man, this guy's just sadistic.
Oh, they were like that, yeah. And I think you're right. Outside of Wild Bunch, he probably is just on the periphery the whole time.
Yeah.
Maybe Major Dundee, but I can't think of anything else really that was big of his that was really, you know,
right,
widely seen. I think you're right. He's a cult guy at heart.
Yeah. Great film. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Absolutely.
Your number 5.
Oh, my number 5. What did I pick? Showgirls. This is it. This movie was so maligned when it came out. Hated by people. But what is not to love about this glorious film? The sex scenes are absurd. The dancing's horrible. Gina Gershon is amazing. And
Great performance.
She has a terrible accent. You got Kyle MacLachlan. Now, you remember the hype when this came out in 95? Maybe you don't, but...
I do. No, I do.
It was sold out everywhere. Like, you could not see it opening weekend at all. I mean, it was it was a big deal. It was rated NC-17.
NC-17, you had Elizabeth Berkley from Saved by the Bell, so that was there's actually a draw, if you think about it.
Right. No, that was the draw. I remember everybody's like, oh my God, we're going to see Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember why it was NC-17 anymore. It didn't seem particularly over the top anymore.
Nope.
But I think this is the theme. And when I approached cult film, this is the theme I went for. It's like, these films all believe in themselves, and they believe in themselves earnestly. They're not in on the joke. They don't get the people are laughing at them sometimes. I think Showgirls fits this mold perfectly. It was maligned. It's got I think it does have a small dedicated fan base now of people that like it. Hell, I'd watch it right now. I would.
You know who? I liked Elizabeth Berkley in Any Given Sunday.
She was like the prostitute, right?
She was, yeah. Good role for her.
She got screwed on this movie. Remember? It's like she got like $10,000 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, she needed to work. I'm slowly just crossing off people. I'm like really going at people today that are just never going to be on our show now. You know.
Well, we had Tarantino versus Joss Whedon last week. Who's the bigger douchebag? Well,
considering that in a month or two we might have on someone who's pretty close to Tarantino, right?
Oh, that's the plan. I would wager to think he thinks Tarantino's a pretty big douchebag himself.
Oh, I would guarantee if we pull this interview that we're hoping to, because people say yes and then forget about us sometimes.
Yes.
Showgirls. Hey man, it's a fun film. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I get why it got the hate, but come on, it's not the worst thing ever.
No, it's not the worst thing ever. Yeah. Speaking of worst things ever, what's your number 4?
Whoa, hey,
Whoa, that was a low blow. Oh,
it's the Warriors. Come on. We talked
yeah.
about this film in great depth last week, and if you hadn't realized, we try to pair up these top 10 lists with the movies that we talk about. That's usually what we try to do. So if we talk about a movie, then the top 10 list is usually associated with that movie, and that movie typically appears on the top 10 list. So the Warriors, check out our video for last week. You can get a thorough breakdown of the Warriors. You can check out our interview with James Remar, all that stuff. In short, I love it. With two lines of dialogue, some flashy costumes, some great scenery. This film developed a great cult following over the years. It's just fun to watch.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
again, Warriors come out and play. Can you dig it? That alone makes it almost a cult film. But people talk about it in such reverence now, and it wasn't. It, I think a lot of what it was trying to accomplish, a lot of the story elements of it and the themes were not well received originally, and people just thought it was stupid.
They
But
did.
it's not. It's not. It's a smart film. It's a smart film. Let's throw that into like cult as well. Is movies, man? Fuck, we already have our list set, don't we? Damn it! I just thought of another movie.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be my number one.
Oh well.
I think I'm gonna have a tie. It's not gonna say it on screen, but I just thought of a tie for my number one. Anyway, I think it's a lot of people think that it's a dumb film, and it's actually very, very smart. And over time, people kind of see that it was a satire, or see that it was a smart. I think that has a lot to do with cult status as well. People just don't understand it at first.
Well, I think you're right. I don't know if I would say smart, but I definitely say the perspective or the humor is maybe a little bit off of center, and it doesn't connect with people as easily as some other films.
Yeah,
It comes from a unique perspective.
yeah.
I would agree with that, and I think Warriors does come from a unique
I
perspective.
think so too, and I think
Yeah.
your number four coming up. I think that hits nail on the head. Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, we don't. You done?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead.
okay. Number 4, Cabin Boy. This movie, it's one of those flicks that you watch it, and then a few days later, you can't convince yourself that you really watched it. Just a quick recap. Chris Elliott is a 40-year-old schoolboy that's traveling home to see his dad. David Letterman sends him to the wrong boat, and he ends up dealing with magic on the high seas with like a giant, half man, half shark named Shocky, played by Dr. Jacoby. Yeah, and it was written by a writer or two from the Letterman show, and I think you can connect all this. Like Letterman, it had a very peculiar sense of humor, and I fucking love it for that. It just really it hits me perfectly. Just so funny.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just one of those movies again. Like when it came out, people just didn't know, how to perceive it. They didn't know how to understand it, and
No, yeah,
I think over time people started to get it, and yeah, it's weird like that. Sometimes when you get this first reaction to a movie, it's like, oh my god, that's just so stupid. I mean, like I mentioned, Office Space or Idiocracy.
yeah.
These movies were panned at first, and then over time, people, have grown to like really see how funny they are and how on the nose some of Mike Judge's humor is. And if you watch Silicon Valley, the dude's a funny guy. He's not just Beavis and Butthead. This guy is super smart. He knows how to write, and I think Cabin Boy fits into a similar box
Oh
as some of these Mike Judge movies, even because
Could be.
people just didn't know how to perceive it. And
No.
I'm gonna throw another movie out here too. This should have been my number one, but I'm just gonna mention it now. Freddy Got Fingered.
Oh, you were on your own on here. I know you and the New York Times think it's some kind of masterpiece, but
Freddy Got Fingered, I feel is absolutely a masterpiece. Absolutely a masterpiece. It's hilarious, it's smart, and it's almost as if Salvador Dali, you know, transported himself to modern times and made a film. And that's how I feel about Freddy Got Fingered. It didn't make my list though, so I guess I don't think about it that
that much, yeah.
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 But again, it's people just don't know didn't know how, and still don't, because you're looking at me like I'm on crack.
No. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Ronan agrees with me. Ronan said no, just no. That's his response to you.
All right. Well, no one can say no to my number 3, though.
Let's move on. There we go.
All right. When I was talking about shocking scenes, like memorable scenes, think about how many memorable scenes Reanimator has. One in particular of a severed head being thrust upon Barbara Crampton's nether regions. I mean, just the whole,
Yeah.
the vial of the juice, and I gave him life.
I gave him
Just
life.
Gave him life. It's hell yeah. This is a cult classic film, and I did a 30-year anniversary video for this last year. I guess last October or something like that.
Yeah.
When we first started getting started with the channel, I put it together, and it was clips of interviews I did with Barbara Crampton, Stuart Gordon, Jeffrey Combs, and Charles Band, all who had played a role in Reanimator, and it's just such a great cult horror film, and it's extremely bloody. It's funny, it's graphic.
Oh yeah.
And the funny thing is, where it shies away from other cult movies that I've talked about, it actually made money at the box office. It actually did quite well.
It didn't cost a lot.
It didn't cost much, but it actually made good money at the box office. It made more so on VHS, and that's where it became, that's where the cult legendary status grew, was when it was on VHS. I remember hearing about this for the first time, and it's like, what the hell's Reanimator? And then when you sit down and watch it, I'm like, oh my God.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I agree with you. It is worthy of being on that list, or best horror movies of the 80s lists. Pretty much throw a list out there. It deserves to be on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Your number, Trey.
All right, let's move it on. My number 3, Barbarella, baby. This, to me, I don't know. When I think cult film, sometimes it's either cult or midnight movie. I don't know how to interpret that, so I just kind of went with Barbarella because I feel
This could have been a number 1, honestly. I think this could have been a number 1.
How much acid were they on making this movie? That's my big question. Holy shit. It is
crazy.
so out there. Let's see. What about Barbarella do I like? Let me think. Oh yeah, it's Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda top to bottom. The Excessive Machine. Holy cow. That really put an impression on me as a kid. The Excessive Machine. Yeah, because Jane Fonda is just, I mean, that's all I can say. Jane Fonda had her fastball working. I love this movie. It is so out there. We're talking,
It's so bizarre.
we're talking about shifts in perspective. This is definitely one of them. This is approaching familiar material in a very strange way.
And in a way, it's very akin to another movie that didn't make my list, but I absolutely love, as well as Buckaroo Banzai. I think they're very much kindred spirits in their bizarreness and just, trying to grasp your head over what the fuck is going on other than a lot of drugs.
Yeah. I think that definitely plays into this. There had to be a lot of drugs. There's no way a sober mind creates this stuff. There's no way.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've personally done a top 20 already.
Have you?
With the movies that I just keep throwing movies out there.
You don't like Dan's number 2? Just hold on. It'll throw out 4 more.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to your number 2, Barbarella.
Abe, put on the glasses.
Oh yeah,
Put on the glasses, Abe.
I love that scene.
Glasses, so good. It's so well how South Park redid that scene.
It was shot for shot, wasn't it?
It was shot for shot.
Yeah.
That whole fight scene between Piper and Keith David, shot for shot, redone in South Park. Other than put on the glasses, you also have I came here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
Right. Fantastic line.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I could just leave it at those 2 sentences, and that would be enough to understand why this is a cult classic favorite. But honestly, it's from top to bottom. It's got such iconic imagery. Those aliens. Mm-hmm. that's the cover photo that we used for this episode, the Obey.
Yeah.
It's a great social and political commentary, a satire that I think was way over people's heads when it came out. They just thought it was just some kind of B movie, you know. And that's the thing is, I could have went Big Trouble with Little China. I could have went They Live. Uh, I went with They Live, and I think for me, this impacted me most as a cult film. I remember just being amongst a select group of people that absolutely loved this film. Now, when I get to my number one, I'll explain a bit more, but I feel that They Live kind of suffers from what my number one also suffers from, and I think it's become a little bit more popular now that it's starting to even get out of cult status
Oh.
because it's very popular, and I think a lot more people love They Live now. So it's almost like it's almost out of cult status because it's revered so much.
Right.
You know?
It works. Yeah, that's for sure. All right. So I'm going to move on to my number two.
Mhm.
I don't know if a B movie sci-fi has ever been more wonderfully bad. Star Crash is wonderfully bad. I mean, the Italians try and cash in on the Star Wars craze, and they made a glorious, glorious mess. Carolyn Monroe, she's like redefining scantily clad as she and her magical co-pilot zoom through the galaxy. Let's see, Christopher Plummer's in it. David Hasselhoff is in it too. John Barry writes another crappy score that has nothing to do with the movie, but it works. Somehow it works. Like these, these bulbs on black construction paper with this horrible music works. I mean, I don't want to like make you think I think this is a classic. This movie is awful, but it's somehow the awfulness elevates it into a different category. And I know there's a small group of people out there that absolutely love this movie, and I'm
Absolutely.
one of them.
It's very similar to Plan 9 in Outer Space. Another one that didn't make our lists. Has that it's a terrible film.
Oh, terrible.
It's a terrible film. Of course, I grew affection for Plan 9 because of Ed Wood, the movie, and that's how I first learned about it. But that movie had a cult status, and I feel that Star Crash is of that same way. It's not a good movie.
No,
It's not a good movie. Doesn't mean that it's not entertaining.
Oh, it's so watchable.
That's rewatchable. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the key is if you can, even though something isn't well made, well acted, well, whatever, but you can still sit down and watch it. I think that means more than something that has the budget and failed with it.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, this is Star Crash.
It's got David Hasselhoff. I mean, it tells you right there what you're kind of getting into.
Awesomeness.
Yeah. Ronan is chastising me a little bit in the chat because he thinks I should have picked he would have picked Message from Space over this. And it's a tough call. He's absolutely right. Message from Space is another cult sci-fi classic. So, I guess it's just a matter of opinion. But Ronan's wrong. Star Crash is better.
All right, my number one.
All right. I got a hard time with this one, I'll tell you.
I know you do, and I know, but and my issue was I think it has now transcended cult status. I think it's way too popular now, but it was one of the ultimate cult films at a time. Like people hated this film. It's crazy. I remember falling in love with this movie from day one. And just people not getting it and people not finding it funny. And then being part of this select group for a while that loved this film. And it was just a cult film. And then you started getting Lebowski Fest and then started to expand and, started becoming more pop culture.
Yeah, I would qualify it not quite as a classic, but it's certainly well known now and well liked.
Well, it's a great film, though. Yeah. I mean, that's the argument was in the beginning that this isn't a Coen Brothers film. This isn't a great film. Yeah. And I think that was what a lot of people had issues with. But when you look back at the, Coen Brothers filmography, I think this is one of their best.
Oh, it is.
Like, this is, and when you start hearing the details of how this film was made, how they wouldn't let anyone like ad lib at all. Like the script was like how that everything was said was in the script, pretty much 99%. Every little pause, every little stutter was written that way.
Oh, it's great.
That's madness. It's such a quotable movie. And quote pretty much, every other line in it, because every other line is fuck.
Yeah.
I remember watching it like every weekend at a time, like seriously, every weekend watching this film.
Yeah.
And as mentioned, it's number one on my list because it
started as
the cult movie that I connected with the most for the longest amount of time. But I do think it's way out of cult status at this point. It's pop culture. It's pop culture. Right. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows Lebowski. They've have T-shirts of it or little dolls of it.
Yeah,
cartoons are making references to Jesus and Quintana. Jesus Quintana, and
it's so weird that they're even doing that now. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my number one.
A Serious Man is probably the Coen Brothers cult film now. Did not care for that one. Ooh. My number one, heavy metal. Like I said, I have a hard time distinguishing midnight and sci-fi or cult movies. I don't know which one this is, but I really believe that this is the ultimate cult film. When it got re-released, like 96, for the DVD release, it got re-released to theaters. The line to see it was like, out to the street a little bit, which at this crappy little art house theater was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wanted to go see it. It was almost even a sellout. It was amazing. People in the theater cheered when Harry Canyon had sex with the girl. No, I guess I should say, if anybody's not familiar with it, this is an animated film. This is an animated film from the very early 80s.
And it's just heavily influenced on music.
Oh, absolutely. It's got a great soundtrack.
It's pretty much all those power, bands at that time.
Yeah.
Like that's what this movie was based around, was music and drugs and sex and violence.
Oh, yeah. This movie is pure juvenile fantasy.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
All it is. But it's
adolescence
so
in a bottle.
Oh, it's so
that
great.
Just explodes.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. And that's what I love about it. I mean, it's just amazing at the juvenile fantasy, and I saw it as a kid and it really swept me away. Luc Besson got swept away too. I mean, he stole the first segment for Fifth Element, the whole idea. But you mean, like, John Candy's in it, Eugene Levy's in it, Joe Flaherty's in it, Harold Ramis is in it, Dan O'Bannon wrote a segment too. I mean, this had some real talent behind it too. I really would like to know the backstory about that, how they they got all these SCTV guys together to make a animated movie that basically centers around tits and violence.
You know what? Maybe we got to do an episode on it. Maybe we try to find someone that was involved with it and get them on and ask some questions, ask some prodding questions, because I agree. It shouldn't have worked. It should not have worked, but it did.
It did.
I enjoy heavy metal.
I love
when I remember when I first saw it.
Yeah.
It was probably like when it released on DVD. No, maybe a little bit before that. No, I probably saw it before then, because I remember seeing it on VHS. So it was probably early 90s that I first saw it. I was probably like, I don't know, 10 or 11 when I saw it.
That's the perfect age to see it, where your mind is still malleable and you just yeah. I mean, I no doubt, I think this is a masterpiece. I'm nothing short of. I'm not gonna lie.
That's good stuff. Hey, if you're watching this video and you agree with us, let us know in the comment section below. Absolutely. If you're watching this video and you disagree with us, let us know in the comment section below. If you want to let us know your cult classic films, guess what you can do?
What's that?
Let us know in the comment section below. You know what you can also do is, please like this video and subscribe to us. There's the button right. I'm pushing it on my screen. Is that I'm adding subscriptions right now as I'm pushing it?
Yes, you are.
Excellent. You can also follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. Tune in next Monday night, anywhere between the hours of 8 p.m. and 1 a.m. for a brand new vegetable lasagna show. And we will be back next. Is there anything else lined up? You got the Woody Allen show coming up?
Woody Allen show this Thursday. 2
Okay,
days. 2 days. Yeah.
2 days from now, Woody Allen show.
Yep.
What movies you talking about?
Everything you wanted to know about sex and but was afraid to ask, and Bananas.
Awesome. That's gonna be a good one.
2 at a time. We're gonna get this done in a year or so.
Banana's my favorite, by the way.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm not so sure about Bananas.
it's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite.
Oh.
But I like it. I think I've told you my favorite.
I'm trying to remember.
It's Bananas. Anyway,
Fucker.
we will be back next Tuesday to discuss the comic book film. You know what? We can probably call it a cult film as well.
Oh, yes.
The Shadow.
The Shadow.
Gonna air an interview we did with actress Penelope Ann Miller. This is kind of leading up to our
Roundtable
discussion. So we're gonna do a superhero movie next week, and then the following week we will do a roundtable discussion of Captain America: Civil War. So that's kind of like, if you go to our channel, we try to like show you what's upcoming, so you kind of get an idea of what we're gonna talk about. And usually that's where Abe goes to find out what we're going to talk about, because I don't tell him in advance.
Nope.
I just post on YouTube, and then he's like, oh, so we're talking about this next week?
I guess I got to come up with a list.
I probably should have told him beforehand, so that's my bad.
I don't care.
At least I'm doing work now, as opposed to just like, oh, there's nothing like listed for the next like year. I should figure out some shows.
Yeah. Oh, we're getting a couple suggestions about other cult films. You want to blow through them real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Godzilla versus Biolante? I have no idea what that word is. Big Trouble in Little China, Message from Space, Naked Lunch, The Thing, Last Man Standing. Oh, that's an interesting one.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one. Hey, Dave Patrick Kelly, I interviewed him, talked about Last Man Standing.
The Killer, Once Upon a Time in China, The Visitor, The Omega Man. Oh, that is an interesting one too.
Omega Man's a good one. Yep.
Yeah. A lot of interesting suggestions out there.
Yeah.
Tom wants everybody to know really quick that they are going to be talking Jesus and Star Wars on the Vegetable Lasagna Show, and Bananas isn't anybody's favorite.
Oh, Abe, final words.
I don't like your jerk-off name. I don't like your jerk-off face. I don't like your jerk-off behavior. I don't like you, jerk-off.
Later.
Bye-bye.